It's nearly Christmas, and let's talk about a Christmas movie that is still legendary, Home Alone.
Are you here all by yourself?
Ma'am, I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
You would think when you become an adult, a film like this would probably lose its appeal. You probably wouldn't like it as much as you used to. You know, essentially there's a lot of childish elements to it. But I genuinely feel like rewatching it as an adult, it just gets better and better. And this is a film to me that dominated my viewing as a kid. I was absolutely obsessed with the Home Alone 1 and 2 as a kid. I just watched them on repeat. And you know, now when you're an adult and you watch it, you really do realise that back then you were just enjoying the fun of it. It's got all that kind of appealing fun for children, that mischief and that slapstick comedy. But there really is a lot to Home Alone, just as an incredibly ambitious, fantastic, well-written, creative comedy with a heart to it. Going from watching Home Sweet Home Alone to re-watching this, I mean, the genuinity, the effort, the structure. Fuck today's movies. Seriously, today's movies, they don't get it. Like, there's this weird disconnect. I don't want to turn this into a rant on Home Sweet Home Alone and today's family and children's movies. Very rarely do they get it. And it's just something has been lost. And Home Alone is probably one of the sole examples of that with Christmas movies. You cannot make this movie again. You can't. I would go as far as to say that filmmakers today can't even make a movie close to this. And that's very concerning about today's movies. Obviously, if you want to talk about the characters in this, you know, Macaulay Culkin is superb. It's an iconic performance. I'm baffled, I'm blown away by people who genuinely believe that Macaulay Culkin just stumbled into this and it could have been any kid. You know, I really do feel like there's some masterful acting going on by this youngster here. I just think the way that he becomes memorable forever by doing that hands-on-the-face scream. There's little expressions in the film of Kevin, the way he delivers his lines. He comes across such walking that line between bratty and likeable. And you cannot, again, it's another thing you can barely do today. Today kids are either likeable or bratty. Macaulay Culkin was a real actor. He really pulled it off.
I washed my hair with the Don't Formula shampoo and use cream rinse for that Just Wash Shine. I can't seem to find my toothbrush, so I'll pick one up when I go out today. Other than that, I'm in good shape.
I really feel like the family is so well cast in this. Like, from the minute you see this film, it feels like a family on screen. I have no idea who cast the family in Home Sweet Home Alone or who thought that was a family. Just faceless mannequins walking around. And you get that a lot in a lot of movies. Whoever casted this, everyone looks like they're in that family. It's incredible. When you watch Home Alone, it's one of the most movies where I've ever believed this is a big family. Everyone looks like they should be there. And the young actors, and you know, they're all earnest, they're all believable. And yes, when they have to be jerky, they're hilarious. You know, the way that these kids are absolute little shits to Kevin. The funny thing about Home Alone is when you watch it, you don't just hate the kids. You find them funny for the way that they pick on Kevin, because it's so creative, it's so mean. But it's so funny because it's like you're laughing at a little kid being picked on, and you, as you're an adult when you watch it, you do find that funny because you look back at the times when you had that conflict, you know, where your brothers and sisters, or even yourself, if you admit it, enjoyed picking on each other, and it's just that creativity they use, the harshness that they use, but it generally feels like they are a family because you can only really use these thought out terrible insults and have it work on your family. There's a special kind of picking on that goes on between brother and sister or brother and brother. A very unique way where you can really push the buttons. For example, Buzz in this.
I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass.
You almost want to give him a medal for how great he is at just being such a prick. Such a prick. It makes him almost likeable.
Did anyone order me plain cheese?
Well, yeah, we did. But if you want any, somebody's gonna have to barf it all up, because it's gone.
So horrible! It's so malicious and horrible, but it's so well delivered by this actor that you're just like, you're laughing. You cannot help. When you're a kid watching it, you're like, oh, I hate Buzz, I hate Buzz. I agree with Kevin, I hate Buzz. You watch it now, you laugh. You don't enjoy that Kevin's feeling bad, but you laugh at the effort Buzz is putting in to put him through hell. And just the nonchalant way he insults and pisses him off, like he doesn't even care. I think one of the early great things about this film is it immediately tunes in to that childlike brain, where legends of the neighbourhood, local legends, and the things kids tell each other to scare each other, obviously in the form of Old Man Marley. Buzz, early in this film, tells Kevin and his other brother about Old Man Marley, a completely fabricated, nonsensical, no evidence-based story about Old Man Marley just to scare them. And it reminds you completely. I experienced this as a kid. Kids in neighbourhoods do this. They make up neighbourhood legends. They paint people to be what they're not. They try and scare each other. They try and believe in this kind of something that makes their neighbourhood a bit more crazy than someone else's.
Back in '58, murdered his whole family and half the people on his block with the snow shovel. Been hiding out in this neighborhood ever since.
Well, if he's a shovel slayer, how come the cops don't arrest him?
Not enough evidence to convict. They never found the bodies. But everyone around here knows he did it. Now it'll just be a matter of time before he does it again.
Enough evidence to convict. Like, just really elaborating on the story and just making it even more involved in this legend. And it goes into Kevin's head and it becomes the kind of basis of the movie. And I love how the film understands that. Very, very hard to tap into that. But it really does Home Alone. Like further on where Kevin is alone and he accidentally steals a toothbrush and he believes the police are after him and things like that. Things seem so much more blown up and important when you're a kid. And you kind of live in a different world to the adults in a way. Like, you think of things that they don't think of. And also where he's scared of the furnace in the basement. He creates this world around this furnace. Just lots of that in Home Alone. And you really appreciate it with that perspective watching it as an adult. Because obviously as a kid, it was there. But I didn't really realise it was saying, yeah, you're like this as a kid, aren't you? When you're an adult, you have that perspective and you're like, yes, that's literally what it's like as a kid, and it takes you back and it shows some fantastic writing. And of course, the things that Kevin gets up to when he's home alone are childlike, mischievous, but creative. You see the things that the kid gets up to in Home Sweet Home Alone is a 2-minute montage. You're like, do you not realise that one of the important things of Home Alone was seeing what the kid got up to? It wasn't just about the slapstick hijinks. It was about what he got up to, what his mind, the little fantasies he had that he wanted to do with no family. And he gets up to create little shenanigans, sledging down the stairs, shooting his toys down the laundry vat, watching movies he's not allowed to. It just tunes into what you would have done as a child, and that was really missing Home Sweet Home Alone. There was no understanding. I'm old now, so I don't know what today's kids like. I don't, because media isn't showing me anything. It's not tuning into anything. And if I was a kid now, I'd struggle to connect with anything that's out there. But maybe they do, who knows? There's nothing timeless being made now, that's what I'm saying. Home Sweet Home Alone, no one on earth, unless threatened at gunpoint, will be watching Home Sweet Home Alone in 20 years. Dear God, they probably have burnt all the copies of it by then. I love when Kevin tricks the pizza boy, and he also tricks Marv with the remote control where he plays the movie and the people outside hear it. Now, this was very, very, very original for its time, very creative and very early on, almost what we would go on to see with soundboards, with YouTube, with pranks. This was so, back here, proper. And again, obviously in Home Alone 2, he has a talk boy. Again, it's just a tape cassette, but he uses it for pranks. And then eventually we see a whole new world open up in social media of how pranks on YouTube and edits, people editing things together to fool people or to make comedy or whatever it is. Home Alone did it with this, this young kid fooling the pizza boy and with the movie. And you would have had none of that perspective back then writing this. So I think John Hughes, it's another time where he just knocked it out of the park, the creative things he wrote Kevin to do. You also have to talk about Harry and Marv, of course, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Superb. What a double act they were. Home Sweet Home Alone, no, you shouldn't sympathise with the villains, but the thing is, Home Alone managed to make you like watching the villains even though you knew they were villains, and that's a concept that only happens with good writing, which doesn't exist today. In this film, compared to Home Alone 2, Harry and Marv were more realistic, and I think that scene where Harry is showing Marv how he has control over the electronic light system is masterful. It's great by both actors. It's really subtle, but it's really fun to watch the kind of back and forth between them in a very subtle scene. You know, they feel like real people, and they don't feel like the caricatures they might have become in Home Alone 2.
5 families gone on 1 block alone. They all told me from their own mouths.
It's almost too easy.
Check it out. All the houses with nobody home have automatic timers on their lights. But I got it all figured out. Number 664 will be going on right about now. Wait. Number 672 right now. Wait a minute. 671 now.
And in Home Alone 2, you know, even though I love the film, they did become more like just complete and utter bumbling half-wits, which I guess had to happen. But here I like seeing Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern allowed to take the performance somewhere. But of course, in the slapstick moments, they are hilarious as well. I mean, the thing is, so many films have tried to do slapstick comedy in the Home Alone vein. There's so many Home Alone spin-offs, let alone the Home Alone sequels, and no one ever captured that slapstick humour like Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Every time I watch it try and be duplicated, I end up feeling bad for whoever's going through the pain, no matter who they are, because it never gets, the actors can never convey what Harry and Marv did. You can watch them going through the most incredible pain, but they still bounce back and make it funny. It's just, you have to have that kind of ability to make slapstick humour funny. If not, it does come across as, like it did in Home Sweet Home Alone, like it did in a lot of the spin-offs, pretty hard to watch because the actors just can't do it. Baby's Day Out, for example, I felt sorry for the people in it because they can't deliver the slapstick pain. They can't do it. Catherine O'Hara, of course, plays the frantic mother trying to get home to her son.
Somebody pick up.
Now, I've heard a lot of people over the years say we should really hate the McCallisters. They're bad parents. They really, really are. But the thing is, I feel like Catherine O'Hara's performance in Home Alone 1 and 2, she feels so bad, and she sacrifices everything to get home. I've heard people say, well, you can't forgive it. You just can't forgive it. But I feel like I can with her. You know, I really feel like Catherine O'Hara made a real effort with the performance to come across as so genuinely sorry and so genuinely earnest, would do anything to get home. And that, for me, kind of forgives it a bit. You know, it's a terrible thing, but she knows it's a terrible thing. And I feel like her frantic, energetic performance is great because she's always losing it. She's almost hysterical at moments, and you would be in this situation. I feel like the conversation that Kevin has with old man Marley in the church near the end of the film is one of the greatest conversations between two, you know, very, very young and very, very old generation ever on film. Now, it's so simple, but it's very profound and very human. And John Hughes, he wrote his socks off with this. You know, it's, you know, and I know a lot of people say that the bird lady in Home Alone 2 is just the same thing, and Kevin comes across as preachy in that conversation. I don't know if I agree, but here, he doesn't. He comes across as genuine. You know, he really admits his faults, and he really tunes in with old man Marley, and they have such a nice conversation.
I really haven't been too good this year.
Yeah.
I'm kind of upset about it because I really like my family. Even though sometimes I say I don't. Sometimes I even think I don't. Do you get that?
I think so. How you feel about your family is a complicated thing.
Especially with an older brother.
Deep down, you always love them. But you can forget that you love them. And you can hurt them and they can hurt you. And that's not just because you're young.
So Old Man Marley was played by an actor called Robert Blossom, and I feel like he is a fantastic, calm presence in this. I know example of kids really should look beyond the surface of the stories that they're told about people, and they should. There's a lesson here to not judge, and there's a lesson here to take people as as they are, not how you are told about them. And it's just lovely little subtle messages about the power of a genuine human conversation to kind of lift your spirits and change your perspective on things and change how you view someone you don't agree with. I mean, that scene is wonderful. You even remember the little characters in Home Alone. Again, when do you watch a movie now, and it's a genuine question, where the little characters, the little character actors stand out? You just don't. I mean, again, something has changed. Cops on the phone to Catherine O'Hara are hilarious. They steal the scene. Never happens today.
I'm calling from Paris. I have a son who's home alone.
Has a child been involved in a violent altercation with drunken and/or mentally ill member of his immediate family?
No,
Has he been involved in a household accident?
I don't know. I hope not.
Girl at the supermarket when Kevin's shopping does really, really well. You remember her. She's memorable. The couple that Catherine O'Hara bargains with to get their flight so she can get home are memorable. I always remember their performance. Fake Santa, where Kevin goes to see Santa and he asks for his family back, is hilarious just for a little moment. And I guess it's a combination of how well John Hughes wrote each of these little characters, but it's a testament to the actors, and we are missing character actors today. Obviously, the ultimate character actor and one of the greatest comedy actors is John Candy, and he is so funny as Gus Polanski in this film. Oh wow, he is unbelievably funny.
I had a few hits a few years ago. That's why just polka, 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 polka. No? Twin Lakes polka, Damavuji polka, a.k.a. Kiss Me polka, polka twist.
Well, these are songs.
Yeah, some fairly big hits for us, in the early 70s, Yeah, we sold about 623 copies of that.
In Chicago?
No, Sheboygan. Very big in Sheboygan. They loved it,
John Candy was just a legend. He got it. He got humour. He got... A lot of comedians today, I believe, are trying to do what John Candy does. That awkward, that trying to think on the feet, trying to impress around. But, again, what is missing is charisma and genuinity and earnest feeling. And John Candy had that. What a lovely character this is. And I feel like John Candy appeared in 2 movies where he gave us a glimpse of a character who's annoying, who's frustrating, who you don't really want to spend time with at first, but his heart is in the right place and he has a heart of gold, and he really is the sort of person we should be appreciating. That was obviously in this and Planes, Trains and Automobiles. And John Candy has an uncanny ability to 1 minute be annoying, next minute just be completely and utterly, you're besotted with the guy. What a great little cameo for Home Alone. I wish he was in Home Alone 2, and I wish he was still with us. There are a few weird things in Home Alone when you rewatch it as an adult that you didn't notice as a kid, which have never been explained to me. They almost feel like little things that John Hughes maybe left out in a deleted scene. Like one of them, for example, is obviously Kevin meets Harry posing as a police officer at the start and notices his gold tooth, and Kevin pulls an expression at it. And then Kevin goes on to accidentally steal a toothbrush. Then he sees Harry again. Harry smiles on the gold tooth again. And I think you're supposed to think Kevin thinks Harry's a police officer, because obviously he saw him as a police officer at the start and he had the gold tooth, so he recognised him. So I think you're supposed to think in his childlike head he thinks the police are following him about the toothbrush incident, or he thinks that he needs to stay away from the police due to the toothbrush incident. So does he always think that Harry and Marv are policemen? There's never a moment in this where Kevin realises that Harry and Marv are burglars, or at least comes to that realisation. There's a blatant attempt to show us that Kevin recognises Harry as the policeman from the beginning. So does he always think, or does he think Harry's a bent cop? I suppose by the end he'll definitely know that they're not what they seem. But it's weird how they make it clear that Kevin recognises him as a policeman. Why is that in there? And then one of the silliest things is when they send a policeman over to check on Kevin, and this is the extent of the police work. Knock, knock, knock. A child has been left alone, terrified probably in the corner, wailing, crying to himself. Knock, knock, knock. There's no one home. The house, this gigantic 70-foot mansion, there's no one home. The house looks secure. I'm off to have a fucking pizza. Like, that's ridiculous. You know, that policeman made no effort whatsoever. And I suppose it's supposed to depict that some policemen don't put any effort into their job, but I don't know if you're supposed to think he genuinely thought that he checked enough. Like, clearly the kid's not going to answer the door, mate. Try a bit harder. There is weird stuff like that. Like, where did Harry get a policeman outfit from? Like, was it just a fancy dress outfit? And if it wasn't, have him and Marv been fucking involved with the Reservoir Dogs, kidnapping policemen and taking their outfit? Where did Harry get that outfit? Because it looks like an official policeman's outfit. Harry and Marv involved in more crazy shit than burglaries. So there is some crazy weird stuff to Home Alone. If anyone's got some answers on that, let me know in the comments, because I've never understood that stuff. But ultimately, this is a wonderful film that still stands up. It's still legendary. It's still Christmas. And it's just so much to it. So it's such a rewarding film as you watch it over the years. You'll never stop noticing the little nuances in it, because now I'm getting older, I'm noticing what John Hughes wrote as an adult, tapping in to what he saw as in the mind of a child. And I love that. That's what true children's and family films do. They become more and more rewarding over time, because you notice when you get to the age of when it was written, more and more things. I'm going to review Home Alone 2 shortly. I also have a requested review of It's a Wonderful Life coming up. Let me know how your holiday season is going. Let me know if you're watching any Christmas movies. And if you're a movie geek just like me, please subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.